haunted games and why they're important. So, when you're making a game, things go wrong. This is normal. It's a great thing when that happens. You can learn from it. It forces you to think about how people will interact with your game and how your initial vision for how the game should be played could be flawed. So, what if you deliberately set out to make a game that behaves wrongly so you can learn from it? I call this a haunted game. And what you've been looking at has been a game I accidentally haunted, a Breakout clone, where I forgot to ensure that the ball was attached to the paddle when I hitting the launch button, meaning that I could launch it from anywhere, just allowing me to clear the game with ease. How you can deliberately make a haunted game. You just need to disregard any thoughts that seem sensible. If people aren't asking why, you've really not gone far enough. So I haunted this Tetris clone on purpose, where I decided to try and convey the difference between component blocks and what makes up each piece, that make up each piece, with just the art themselves. The problem being, the blocks that made up each piece were 2x2 in pixels, and I had the option of on or off for my pixels, meaning that you can't tell the difference between an off pixel in the piece or just the background. You can't even tell if it's empty or not, making it entirely unplayable. No one else had to play this game because honestly that would be cruel and unusual. But you can certainly learn from it. You can learn plenty from good and bad video games. There's no reason to only make good ones. You'll encounter just as many difficulties, and you'll be able to learn from each and every one of those. It's also amazing to just not have expectations about making something great when you could just be making something. You don't have to be perfect, it doesn't need to be perfect. In fact, in my opinion, it's better to not be looking for that at all and just make what's fun, because some things are meant to be that way. But let's not forget, we're learners, so we should enjoy learning. And at that point, if we're going to learn, we might actually want to fix some of these hauntings. And if we were to do that, you'd learn how to analyze what's happening in the scene. Like in my Gauntlet clone right here, my bullets are moving in a direction that's not consistent with the facing direction of my player. The only thing that's affecting that direction is the direction that's being set when they're being created. That value is unfortunately also being used to set the enemy's movement by the AI. So that value is being passed and then updated via the AI because those values are in reference. I wouldn't have worked that out if I hadn't spent time problem solving this. And by identifying that, I was able to separate the reference so there was a clone of the value, not a reference. And you can solve the issue. But don't worry, up until now I've only been showing you clips of games I've made that are haunted. But don't worry, even commercial games are haunted. Take both Skyrim and the original Pokemon Red and Blue. They both behaved wildly. Missing No was a Pokemon that could appear if you did certain steps, and it would load data from garbage and create that monster of a sprite. Or Skyrim, where giants would launch you into the sky forever. In conclusion, when you become good at making haunted games, you get good at spotting hauntings, and even better at fixing them, which will be helpful if you end up working on video games. So go forth and make games. You never know, you might make something that's great in the process, or even better yet, you might make something haunted. So please, go haunt your video games. Thank you.